So Sonoma County's real estate market has become Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, with two completely opposite personalities emerged in Q1 of this year. While the general market shows all the classic cooling signs, with inventory surging 52% month over month, luxury properties over $2 million are experiencing a feeding frenzy, with pending sales up a staggering 75%. This market contradiction completely flips conventional wisdom, as luxury is typically the first segment to cool in changing markets. I mean, I've analysed every square inch of Sonoma County real estate for a while now, and in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to navigate this bizarre split market, whether you're buying, selling, or just keeping tabs on wine country property values. All right, let's start with the big picture in Sonoma County, because these numbers tell quite a story. The thing that jumps out immediately is the explosion in inventory. In April, we had 1,150 properties for sale across the county. That's up from around 750 in March, a massive 52% jump in just 1 month. And looking back at last year, well, we're up somewhere between 30 and 40% from April in 24, something that's creating very different opportunities for both buyers and sellers in different price ranges, as you'll see later on. In March, we were at about 2.6 months of inventory, which typically signals a seller's market. But in April, that shot up to 4.2 months, a 61.5% increase. This is a big shift towards a more balanced market, and one of the clearest signs that things are changing. And that's going to affect your negotiating position quite significantly, especially in the under 2 million market, which we'll discuss shortly. But the weird part is that despite all these new listings flooding the market, closed sales dropped. We saw roughly 270 properties sold in April, down from about 5 to 7% from March's 290 to 300 sales. And year over year, we're probably looking at a 10 to 15% decline compared to April 2024. So what about prices? The sale to list price ratio, basically how close sellers get to their asking price, is showing some subtle shifts. In April, properties sold for about 98% of asking, down slightly from just over 98.3% in March. So buyers are getting a tiny bit more negotiating power, but sellers are still getting pretty close to what they're asking. Last year, this ratio was around 99%, so we're seeing a small amount of downward pressure. For median sale prices, we're at around $825,000 in April, which is down just a hair, about 1% from March. And year over year, prices have stayed largely flat, within about 2% of April 24. And what's actually kind of amazing is how stable prices have remained despite all these new listings that are hitting the market. So here's where it gets interesting. Even though closed sales dipped, pending sales, homes in contract, but which haven't closed yet, shot way up. We saw around 400 properties go pending in April, up roughly 30% from the 310 or so pending sales in March. And compared to last year, pending sales, again, they're up around 5 to 10%. So this jump in pending sales tells us there's still plenty of buyer interest out there, despite all the new inventory, or maybe because of the new inventory. But this gap between what's going into contract and what's actually closing hints at a market that's shifting. To understand what's happening, though, we need to break down the market into different segments. But here's where things get really interesting. The luxury market is behaving in a completely different way that contradicts everything we know about typical market transitions. In fact, when you see the numbers I'm about to show you for properties over $2 million, you might think I'm looking at data from an entirely different county. What's happening in the high-end segment provides crucial insights that could completely change your buying or selling strategy this summer. You know, I've been analysing Sonoma County real estate for a while now, and one thing I've learned is that this market never stops surprising me. If you're thinking about investing in wine country, or love seeing what's happening in our local neighbourhoods, then please do hit that subscribe button below. I promise it will be like having your own personal real estate insider feeding you the data that matters most. So let's look at what's going on with the luxury properties, those priced over $2 million. This high-end segment of our market is showing incredible strength right now. In April, we had about 200 to 220 luxury homes for sale, up 40 to 45% from the number of homes for sale in March. And then year over year, luxury inventories increased around 30 to 35% compared to April this time last year. While this inventory increase seems large, it's actually smaller than what we're seeing in the under 2 million market, which helps explain some of the striking differences in buyer behaviour, which we'll explore soon. But unlike the broader market, closed sales in the luxury segment stayed steady. We saw about 22 properties over $2 million sold in April, basically unchanged from March. Compared to last year, that's just a tiny 5% dip in closed transactions. I mean, the real headline in the luxury market is the absolute explosion in pending sales. In April, roughly 35 to 37 properties over $2 million went into contract, compared to just 20 to 21 in March. That's a massive 75% jump in just 1 month. And then year over year, luxury pending sales are up 25 to 30% from April of last year. This tells us that wealthy buyers are making moves in this market. Maybe they're seeing opportunities in the increased selection of homes, or maybe other economic factors are at play. Even prices in the luxury segment are showing strength. The median sale price for properties over $2 million in April was $2.8 to $3 million, up roughly 2 or 3% from March. And then year over year, luxury median prices have climbed almost between 3 and 5%. So what's driving this luxury market strength? I think it's a few things. For one, Sonoma County has incredible appeal to wealthy Bay Area buyers looking for both lifestyle benefits and solid investments. I mean, our combination of natural beauty, amazing wines, easy access to San Francisco, and relatively good value compared to other luxury markets makes Sonoma County really attractive to high net worth individuals. Plus, these luxury buyers often aren't as sensitive to interest rates. They might be paying cash or have the financial flexibility to handle higher borrowing costs. This shields the luxury market somewhat from the interest rate fluctuations and concerns affecting many other segments. And the explosive growth in luxury pending sales tells only half the story though. When we look at what's happening under $2 million, you'll see why timing has become absolutely critical, depending on which side of this price threshold you're on. In fact, the divergence between these two markets points to a rare opportunity window that likely won't stay open for long. So now let's look at what's happening in the under 2 million market, which is where most people, let's face it, in Sonoma County are buying and selling. This segment tells a pretty different story. In April, we had about 950 properties under $2 million for sale, a huge 55% jump from the number available in March. And then year over year, inventory in this segment is up roughly 35 to 40% from April of last year. And unlike the luxury market, closed sales in this segment actually dropped. We saw about 250 properties under 2 million sold in April, down roughly 7% from the number sold in March. And compared to last year, closed sales have fallen around 12 to 15% from April of last year, which is a significant drop. So pending sales in the under 2 million segment, they did increase with roughly 375 properties going into contract in April compared to 300 in March, but that's a much smaller increase of 25 to 27%. But here's the key. This growth rate is way lower than the 75% increase we saw in the luxury segment. And then year over year, pending sales under 2 million are up by a modest 3-4%, which creates a potential risk for sellers that will require specific strategic adjustments, which we'll talk about shortly. So while there's definitely still activity in this market segment, it's not keeping pace with all the new inventory that's coming on. This creates a more competitive environment for sellers and potentially better opportunities for buyers. So why the difference? Well, buyers in this price range are typically more sensitive to interest rate changes, and many are buying primary homes rather than second or investment homes. I mean, they might be more cautious about the economy or waiting to see if prices adjust with all this new inventory. When we directly compare these two market segments, literally side by side, the differences really do jump out. I mean, look at the difference in pending sales growth. The over 2 million market saw a 75% increase from March to April, while the under 2 million market saw just a 25% increase. I mean, that's a huge difference in demand growth. This divergence in pending sales is one of the several key metrics suggesting we may be at a market inflection point, something I'll explain further when we look at the major trends emerging from this data. So closed sales tell different stories too. The luxury market kept its sales volume steady, while the under 2 million market saw a 7% decline. This shows just how resilient the high-end market is right now. Even though both segments saw lots of new inventory, the proportional increase was actually higher in the under 2 million market at 55% compared to 40 to 45% for luxury homes. And perhaps most tellingly, prices are moving in opposite directions. The luxury market is seeing modest price growth of 2 to 3% month over month, while the under 2 million market is experiencing a slight softening of around 1%. So what's really fascinating is how this flips what we normally expect on its head. Usually the luxury market is more volatile and the broader market more stable, but in Sonoma County right now, it's the total opposite. I think this reflects Sonoma County's unique position in Northern California. We've increasingly become a destination for wealthy Bay Area residents looking for second homes or relocation options. The pandemic really accelerated this trend, with remote working becoming more and more common, people wanting more space and in natural surroundings. Meanwhile, entry-level and mid-range buyers face bigger affordability challenges with those interest rates and the general economic uncertainty that we're seeing right now. So we end up with luxury buyers acting more decisively, while other buyers need to be more cautious, and for good reason. Looking at all this data, there are several big trends everyone should be aware of right now. The divergent performance between market segments is crystal clear. There's no escaping what we're seeing in the data. The luxury market is outperforming everything else in terms of buyer activity and price stability. This means different strategies might make sense depending on your price point and your position. Understanding these segment-specific strategies is going to be crucial for your success, and I'll walk you through exactly what to do based on your situation a bit later in this video. This inventory surge across all segments shows that more sellers are jumping into the market. It could be for a bunch of reasons. Some might be anticipating future market changes and wanting to sell now, others responding to the typical spring selling season, and some making lifestyle changes as remote work policies evolve. So the gap between surging pending sales and declining closed transactions suggests we might be at a turning point in the market. This disconnect between contracts being signed and deals actually completing could signal changing buyer sentiment or growing challenges in the closing process. I mean, that big jump in months of inventory from 2.6 to 4.2 months signals a shift from a seller's market towards a more balanced market. I mean, traditionally, 4 to 6 months of inventory is considered balanced. So we're entering that territory after years of inventory shortages. I mean, the most interesting part about these trends is what they're going to mean going forward. The growing inventory and more balanced market conditions could eventually lead to more price negotiation, especially under $2 million. But the strong pending sales suggest demand is still pretty robust despite all the new supply. So what does all this mean for you? Well, let's break it down based on where you fit into the market. If you're looking to buy a home under $2 million in Sonoma County right now, you're facing the best conditions we've seen in quite a while. So here's my advice. Take advantage of this extra selection. With inventory up 55% in just 1 month, you've got way more options now than even a few weeks ago. This means you can be pickier and find something that really works for you instead of settling because there's nothing else available or you're worried about competing with other people for offers. You're in a position of strength we've not seen in years, giving you leverage that luxury buyers actually don't have right now, despite what conventional wisdom tells us. Your negotiating position has improved too. That dip in the sales price to list price ratio shows sellers they're getting a bit more flexible, or they're getting a bit more realistic. You probably won't see huge discounts, but there's more room to negotiate on price, closing costs, or other items that are important to you that just wasn't there a year ago. The good news? You don't have to rush. The inventory trend suggests this buyer advantage might continue, giving you time to carefully consider your different options. But keep in mind, those strong pending sales numbers show there are still plenty of active buyers out there. One more thing to remember, be ready to move on the really special properties. Despite the overall inventory increase, those unique or exceptionally well-located homes might still draw multiple offers. Have your financing ready, be prepared to act quickly once you find the right property. If you're shopping in the luxury segment over $2 million, you're facing a somewhat different situation. Remember that despite the increasing inventory, there's still really strong demand in this segment. That 75% jump in pending sales shows many luxury buyers are moving decisively right now. The silver lining? You can take advantage of the improved amount of inventory. You get a better selection. With luxury inventory up 40 to 45% month over month, you're seeing properties that might not have been on the market for years and are just now coming to market. Just don't expect big price drops in this segment. Unlike the broader market, luxury properties are showing slight price increases, suggesting sustained demand despite more listings. My advice? If you find something you love, you might want to move on it and move on it decisively. The strong pending sales activity in the luxury segment suggests desirable properties, they're just not sitting around. If you're selling a property under $2 million, you're facing more challenging conditions than we've seen recently. The market's definitely shifted. With inventory up 55% in literally just 1 month, buyers have way more options than they did a few weeks ago. Your property is now competing with many more listings for buyer attention. And your pricing strategy matters more than ever right now. The data shows slight price softening and the decrease in how close sellers are getting to their asking prices. This suggests that aggressive pricing strategies could definitely backfire, and we're seeing that on badly priced properties. Consider pricing at or slightly below recent comparative sales to attract the right level of interest. In this environment, presentation and marketing become critical differentiators. With so much more inventory, buyers can be choosier. Investing in the right marketing, the best photos, staging, and a comprehensive marketing package can really help your property stand out from the crowd. And prepare yourself mentally for a potentially longer selling timeline. That increase in months of inventory to 4.2 months suggests the average time to sell is stretching out. So make sure you've got realistic expectations about how long it would take you to sell. For those selling luxury properties over $2 million, the outlook's definitely more positive, particularly for properties that are turnkey and ready to go. The good news is that your segment is better performing than the rest of the market. The strong pending sales activity and stable closed sales volumes show continued robust demand for luxury properties. Yes, you face increased competition with luxury inventory up 40 to 45%, but strong buyer activity suggests there's enough demand to absorb this supply. This puts you in a better position than sellers at lower price points, though that might sound like an oxymoron. The key to success: highlight what makes your property special. Think about why you bought it. Luxury buyers are often looking for specific features or locations. Really showcasing the unique aspects of your property can help attract the right buyers in a market where they've got more options. And work with agents who really understand the luxury segment. The split between the market segments means strategies that work in one price point might not work in another. Experience with high-end properties and how to market high-end properties to a unique buyer pool is more valuable than ever. So there you have it, folks. Sonoma County real estate in 2025 is essentially living a double life right now. I've never seen anything quite like this split market in my time tracking wine country trends. While most of us are watching inventory absolutely explode with 52% more properties hitting the market in just 1 month, luxury buyers are secretly having a feeding frenzy with pending sales skyrocketing 75% on high-end properties. So you're thinking about making a move in Sonoma County this year? I'd love to put all this market analysis to work for your specific situation. Every property and buyer is unique, especially in this split market we're experiencing. Whether you're looking to buy your dream wine country home, sell at the optimal price point, or just understand what these trends mean for your neighborhood and your situation, then shoot me an email at david@BruingtonHargreaves.com. And speaking of luxury real estate in Sonoma County, my next video might completely change where you're looking to invest. I just finished analyzing the most expensive zip codes across wine country, and the data reveals some fascinating shifts happening right now. If you're curious about where the real wealth is flowing into Sonoma County and which neighborhoods are commanding truly premium prices in 2025, then click on that video now. Until the next video, go well.